like
pretty nice.
Looks like the only thing that's been out here is the odd quad and mainly snowmobiles. So this is a day when we don't regret having a four-wheel chains, the ability to air down some more, and having an 8274 winch on the front with a lot of cable on it. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a buffer in case something happened to go weird on us. There's an interesting little spot. You kind of want to guess where the road is so you don't fall off into the ditch. Like this, or was it a straight shot across the power line? And that's why we have things like maps. Once I get us out of this spot where we're trying to get stuck, fighter, swatting the bees. Get to a little flat spot here so we're not stopping on a hill, so we don't lose all our momentum. Get in there and shoot. The rock. Hold that one for him. Say that is because the phone has image stabilization. What do you think, Pepper? Are you going to want another run at it, or are you just going to go? Okay.
I feel like this is the I think I can.
Oh, yeah. There's a little bit of that. Sometimes we've got forward momentum still. You're kind of like, I might as well let it eat and keep going. And then there's sometimes where you're like...
Yeah, but it's not like we're digging, you know? Like, that's not a steep wall we pushed.
Well, I was trying to not dig too badly. Okay. We're into the same route we made before. Feel that momentum go, that's a great time to stop trying to go forwards, because you're just going to make it worse. Here's a little trick too. If you're going down a steep hill and you're in four low, especially in something like a Cherokee that has drum brakes in the rear, and drum brakes don't work as well in reverse, put it in neutral when you're going down the hill. Then you won't be fighting the engine and the hill.
I'm concerned the hill gets steeper going forward, so...
Yeah, but by the time we get there, we might have some momentum, maybe. Or make it worse for the next guy, you know. One of the two.
Whoever comes to follow, they'll have many lines to pick.
No, typically by that point, they have one. chew this up much more, I'm gonna have to get out and get chainsaw. Probably gonna make that. Yeah, we just step sideways. I lifted for a second there, and I think we lost a bit of momentum. Let's see if we can keep. Nah, that's just a ridge.
I feel like that's so close.
Right? It's like once we pop up over this little ledge, the only downside is now it's directing us into this bank on the left, where I'd rather not be. Hey, Pepper, why are you getting so friendly with this bank on the left? What's going on? Of course, you always have to do your evaluation of, yes, I want to make it up this hill, but is it getting steeper and there's more roll potential and further to roll if I keep going further? Maybe. Find some traction. Oh, feel it almost got into axle hop there. Yeah, you don't want that. That's how you blow stuff up. Well, alternatively, we could go to the other lake we went to last time. We can't make it up this hill.
Just following where the snowmobiles have been.
Yeah, you know, why not just break trail? Be fun. What could go wrong? Track is not good. Made a little wall there to drive on top of. At least the snow conditions aren't too bad. This was later in the day and this was how we had to get out. This would be more of an issue. Well, at that point I would be sitting here with chains on going, now it's not an issue. Frustrating looking at our tracks there from before and being like, we made it that high before.
So after a quick little turnaround, a little bit getting stuck, a little bit shoveling, but we're going the wrong way. So just backtracking a bit, get back on the road. Keeps us from having to climb that hill anyways.
See if that trail's broken out at all. Out of there. That's the one thing in winter is you can be driving along really nicely on a road like this and think, boy, this isn't too bad. Snow's not too deep. And then you get off kind of the groove, like the trail everyone's been driving and packing all winter, and all of a sudden you fall into the soft stuff on the side no one's driven on packed, and trying to get back up onto that, the trail can be very difficult sometimes. So you can earn yourself hours of digging or having to chain up or winch or any multitude of things to try to get yourself back in again. So, yeah, it looks about like that. So where's our trail? Our trail's back here at that corner. Usually we're just following our handheld GPS and giving a track back to somewhere we've been. But sometimes you get a little complacent, like, I've been there a few times, I'll remember the way. But depending on what time of day it is or what the conditions are like, in this case it's later out and we've got new snow, it can get really easy to get kind of turned around and take a trail that you weren't intending to take. So it's better to do a little bit more planning out and leaving your thing. But then, whereas back there? That's all the offcuts for building the shelves in the little shop. I'm gonna upcycle those and do a nice warm little fire. Make sure I didn't pick any that had nails in it. That's the last thing I need is nails out of the goods. Is that a bunch of snow, Finn? Service road that's wouldn't even be a challenge really in like a front wheel drive little car. You hit winter and all of a sudden it's like it's a challenge. I'm gonna go the way I made tracks. I know this is probably the harder way, but I've already gone through once. Trees over there. Let's just try it.
Looks like a good day to pull winch.
Ah, no cable pulling there. Avoid pinball with the trees. Lost an antenna there. Now here rolling around. I think we're good. There you go. Little project. One of these days I have to fend around the rest of the antennas. Antennae. Okay, this could be worse. We could be like the person walking. I assume that's a person by the gate. I don't know. It could be something else. Pretty old footprints.
Came out this way, it would have been just before Christmas tree hunting.
Yeah, it's actually been a while. Well, I think we went to the other lake last time. We went to McLaughlin. Yeah. One thing too is if the conditions get really hideous out this way, there is a more traveled way to get out. Although we kind of avoid it in the winter because it just gets so packed down and so icy that we essentially have to chain up, not for getting through snow, but for not bobsledding down the hills and hitting someone or going off the road ourselves. If I have to pick and choose on that one, I'd rather kind of go down it because then hopefully someone's not sliding down it and into you. Okay.
I think this is that detour part.
Ah, yes. So this is the main road where someone went there is the detour. So let's try this. We've still got some tire tracks to work off of. We seem to be pushing it fairly well. This, was it spring, I guess? Maybe late summer? We had some crazy rain events out here, and while this seems like nothing that we're driving over right now, this is the slickest, nastiest mud ever. Like, basically, you weren't getting anywhere unless you were winching. And myself.
See all those little pocket ruts?
Yeah. We came out here to get a 1-ton Ram out, and we did with a Ranger and a Cherokee and an 80 Series Land Cruiser. Although the 80 Series Land Cruiser was stuck back at this corner, and he never managed to actually make it to the truck. After having some pretty tippy moments with some of the holes, he just seemed to lose interest in coming any further. Well, he'd already had to leave behind a Power Wagon that just, even though it was really nicely built and really well equipped, he was just too heavy and a bit too wide to get through the first spot where the main road here had essentially liquefied and sloughed off. And that That was nasty. Especially didn't help that someone cut branches or cut trees and laid them lengthwise with the trail rather than across like a corduroy road. So you never know when you're going to hit one of those with a tire and have it stand up and spear something underneath or tear something off. You're almost creating more problems than good. And that was just over this hill here. But that spot, I managed to make brake trail on it and drive through. It took me a few attempts. But I just kind of, with a good spotter and everything, we poked around until we found little spots that might have traction. Yeah, whoever made these tracks is a little sliding all over the place. So yeah, that sloughed off spot was just here towards the bottom of the hill.
I wonder if these tracks, this person, whether they were going up or they were going down.
If they're sliding around that much, probably coming up. So here's the spot where it's sloughed off. You can see it's still maybe a bit of a drop off. Oh, not too bad. The snow smooths it out. Also helps. They were only running about 12 psi. Oh, baby, come on. Find that group. It definitely helps to sweet talk your vehicle. Maybe give it a little nickname. Pat it on the dash every once in a while. Tell it it's a good little vehicle. Good little 4x4. In this case, this is Pepper. She's doing a real good job on this. We're not running anything crazy like big 40s and aired down to 2 psi on B-blocks. This is 12 psi on just normal alloys. That it's an 8-inch wide tire with a 12.5 inch. Well, not quite 12.5. I think they're about 11 because they're a metric tire. But they seem to keep the bead pretty nicely, and we've got a fairly high flow compressor and enough flammable liquids that if we blow a bead off, first we can try putting the spare tire on that's a full-size spare, and if that becomes an issue or something like that, then obviously you're going to have to try to reseat that bead. I want to say it hasn't happened yet, but I feel like there's no wood in here to speak of to knock on to try to ward off the bad juju. I feel like earlier I said, we've got all these traction adders and options for getting grip and getting ourselves out, and then I promptly got myself stuck backing up and turning around. Christine was a champ on the shovel though. If she didn't do the digging, that wouldn't have gotten us out. We would have been doing a lot more work.
I think you have to judge your co-pilot based on their digging skills.
And winch and cable pulling.
I've never pulled cable so far.
Oh, well, that's the end of it.
And your ability to handle a handsaw.
Oh yeah.
And cut down all the little branches.
Yeah. Usually Christine is so fast on the little silky fold-up pull saw that by the time I've got the chainsaw out, everything's already cut. You can see all the little spots for snowshoe hares across the road here. That's good. Healthy rabbit population. Well, technically they're a hare, I guess, but similar families. Someone's probably just rolling their eyes. They're not the same! Well, I don't know, man. To the uninitiated, they look pretty darn similar. They seem to like about the same things. Just digging a hole or making it worse.
Good at digging holes.
That's true. Oh, yeah. A little bit of trash talking. So you can see this is where you get the Christmas trees. But this isn't our secret spot where we get Christmas trees.
Yeah, we go to forest, none of your business. Just like we like going fishing at lake, none of your business.
Oh, somebody got stuck here. Yeehaw.
I feel like people just didn't know where to drive there.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it. All of a sudden there's just tracks everywhere. Like, what were you guys doing? Somebody got stuck there? One of the advantages we have out here is, one, we're aired down. Two, we've got an auto locker in the front of Spartan and a limited slip that's just being freshly rebuilt in the rear, a factory style one. And we're also aired down to 12 psi, so our ground pressure is a lot less than, say, a big 1-ton turbo diesel running a similar size tire, weighing, gosh, maybe 3 times as much, at least twice as much. So we tend to kind of float a little bit more.
It looks like someone gave up here.
Yeah. It looks like someone should have definitely given up there. Well, they're not still there, so that's good. That's good. Yeah, sometimes for fun, we have a little group that basically goes out and rescues people that are stuck if they post up on a Facebook group where they are. We've pulled some pretty stuck people out of pretty nasty places where they started thinking that, you know, they weren't going to see their vehicle for another month. And like any place, you know, some parts are worse than others, but there can always be the thing where you never know who's going to find your vehicle out in the woods, and if they're going to decide it's abandoned, and if they're going to decide it's going to be fun to smash the windows and take your stuff or anything like that. So it's usually...
Is this where we turn?
It's usually pretty important to get that stuff out in a timely fashion. And not really broadcast to too many people exactly where it is. This is one of the ways into Campbell, but there is a second road that I think is the more common used road. Like I said, everything looks different in the snow, but that's not the right spot. I don't think. Like,
we'll find out.
Cut to 5 minutes from now when I'm stuck again trying to turn around because I went the wrong way again. Impeccable sense of direction? Impeccable sense of adventure.
Those who wander are not lost.
They may be a little bit lost, but you know what? Fancy things, GPS and maps. I know where I'm at. I am. It just might not be the place I originally intended to go. You know, like you were saying before, Christine, you can really see there's been some sun on these trees because most of the snow's come off them. We're getting a really cold snap in this next bit. That's partly why we're out having fun now. I don't really like being out in -20 that much if I don't have to. I mean, you can dress up for it, but weird things start to happen to mechanical things when you start getting that kind of cold. Well, let's see how good Christine's gimbal arm is going through this bumpy spot. Pretty good, I think. This is the right spot. Yes, we're in. See, that says Campbell.
Hey, look, tracks.
Yeah, other people. So hopefully people don't see our tracks and go, boy, that looks really easy. I could drive through that. Yeah, you might be able to.
Question is, James, do you want to drive up that hill where that guy was kind of like fishtailing looking going up? Or do you want to go down the ice road?
Yeah. You know what? Sense of adventure says go back the way we came in.
The path least traveled.
Yeah, the last thing I want to do is bobsled down that hill and meet somebody on it, or end up leaving the road, because that would be a pretty disastrous thing. It's a very steep hill with a lot of exposure and drop-offs, and some trees to catch you, but not enough to guarantee that the trees will catch you. Sometimes they'll catch you after you've been going down the hill for a while, and that's not a great time. Nope. That's a bad day. This is a beautiful little wreck site, though. It's usually fairly accessible. It depends on if they're logging or not, because it does get a fair bit of traffic out to the lakes out here. There's pretty good fishing lakes front of here. I don't think I've ever fished them, actually. No, I don't think I have. But yeah, it gets a lot of traffic, so it can be pretty washboarded, and you get people pulling travel trailers up to the lower campsites on this. Sometimes this one, too. So if you're into camping off in the middle of nowhere, like we do with our, like we tend to do with our rooftop tent and everything like that, this might not be the place for you unless you like company that you don't know. If you like company, we usually meet up. But this place is beautifully maintained. I'm not sure if it's the same host that it was originally, but the guys that were running this before were just phenomenal people. Really nice. This is mainly people ice fishing. No tracks into the wreck site. Which, interestingly, I think due to COVID this year, usually this gate would be closed and you'd not be able to get in here. But for whatever reason this year, they've left gates open. I'm not complaining. It's a beautiful little place, though. It's got outhouses, the luxuries. They actually put LED motion sensor lights in the outhouses, which is a luxury. That is a big luxury. You got nice picnic tables, and you've got enough separation from your neighbors out here that you don't have that feeling like some places where you're in a flat parking lot on top of people. Number 9, our favorite spot. And some wood left over.
And probably the kids made that snowman. I bet you.
Yeah, this would probably be Andrew leaving some snow. We'll have to tell him thank you. Yeah, it looks like...
I think it's snowing.
It got a little offline for a second there. Kind of like some other folks did through this section. It's going to be a little bit lumpy. I just try to be smooth and maintain a little bit of momentum. It'll get you where you're going faster. Well, it's just like giving things more throttle. It might make things better, it might make things worse, but it'll remove the suspense. That's super lumpy. Some sword fighting going on the roof, I think. There we are.
We did discover when we arrived at Campbell Lake that our antenna had been indeed knocked over and was just laying on its side.
Boy, the sun's just barely trying to poke through. I just hope this isn't like the one year up McConnell where I decided to wander up the road and it was getting nastier and nastier and I was breaking trail and you'd make a few, well, you made about a foot every time you rammed into it. And I just wanted to make it up to this one road and turn around. Finally, I made it up there. Well, almost. And I slid off the road and just got utterly buried for about an hour. It took me about an hour of digging and messing around to get out. This is pre-winch. And later that week, some friends went out to rescue a Ford Escape that had gone out that way. And I asked, where did it happen? They said, about this distance in. I said, no, exactly where? Was it exactly beside this road on the right-hand side of the road? And they're like, yeah, it was. How did you know? I was like, slid into a hole, didn't he? And they're like, well, we assumed he made that. I'm like, nope, that was me. I made the Ford Escape trap. Realistically, in winter, it's amazing where you can go with just all-wheel drive, but it's amazing how stuck you can get too, because they don't necessarily have the low range to get the torque up to climb out of a hole or anything like that. Basically, once you slide off, that's the end of it. Whereas with a locker and proper four-wheel drive and low range like we're in right now, you can often kind of climb up out of something a little bit better. And also, we're a little more willing to air down and air up and that. A lot of people don't even really know about that, but it's kind of like putting snowshoes on. Lowers your ground pressure. Gosh, the screen in the background going with video going projected on it going by, and the guys in the car is sawing away at the wheel like he's trying to cut down a tree with it. Meanwhile, the video in the background is just going straight.
I'm still curious how this is gonna go. We got a little bump up and it's a bit of a climb. Not as much bump up when you take that line.
It's gonna be tough. We lost momentum before we got there.
There's a little bit of a climb.
Bounce around's killing a lot of our momentum. Luckily, we're not digging too deep of grooves yet.
No, and it's staying more relatively on track.
Starting on a bit of a hill, I think. About there, I think. Maybe not. Maybe a little hair back further. We fell in the first hole I was trying to avoid. Now I gotta bump out of it. Real fine feel there between when you've got traction, you're moving forward, and when you're just going to be digging a hole for yourself. You just about almost always have to go back to flat, though. You just can't get going on a hill. You just dig. When you've got enough traction adders, you just dig deeper holes. And then all four tires go in, not just some of them. Keep ending up having to go back to this first big hole. It's that darn stuffed spot again. Come on, stay in there. Stay in there. Easy. That one got really offline. Hopefully I didn't make too much of a groove doing that. You can hear the front axle hop. That's a great way to break an axle shaft or a U-joint. It may come down to it that we do have to chain up. The hill is a bit steeper than it kind of will look on video, you had to turn that on to me. It just distract me. How's it feel to take the blame for it, Christine?
Blame the camera crew.
Yeah. You see we got off the groove there, and I think we've made too deep of a rut. And I don't know that we'll be able to go back up that. It's so frustrating to get so close.
Chains on.
Back up to a flatter spot, and then we'll just do that. Because that, now that we made that groove that last time, that's the end of it. It's just not going to. You're not going to be able to get past that. I fear that even if we push past that point, we're just going to be pushing powder the whole way and making that groove deeper and deeper, going the wrong way. Just out and out with traction more and more. So you find a nice convenient flat spot, and hopefully the snow's not too deep when you step out of the vehicle. And now start the process of chaining up.
Yay!
No, it's not fun.
Reluctantly put chains on.
It's because it's not an easy job. Note that there's no such thing as wheel speed this time. You don't want it. Just let them eat. Oh no, the tracks that we went in before. Yeah, still getting hooked in it. But it doesn't matter, because we just drive out of it like a little tank. And these aren't even V-bar chains, these are more the European kind of diamond pattern ones. Provide a bit better clearance if you've got articulation and turning and things. And as you've noticed here, there's no lack of traction whatsoever. Okay.
Do you, that hill we couldn't make up before, do you want to make an attempt at it now that we put chains on?
No. I just know we probably could. So the chains are a huge thing if this was the only way out here and the snow conditions have changed much. They've changed a bit, but not that much since we came in. They haven't been too bad. If it had gone above zero today, well, big snowballs came in my window. If it had gone above zero today, it would have been much more of a thing. And that's where, honestly, chains are expensive, but they will save your butt big time, even in the summer. Like, look at that, fell off the groove, just drove back on like nothing. One thing you've got to do though is, in a little bit here, I'll stop and check the tension on them again. And use very good spider bungees. Don't use the ones that come in the kit. I had ones that, even though they're good quality chains, they came with spider bungees in them. Except they weren't spider bungees, they were just like a round bungee with hooks on it. And we each took turns almost punching ourselves in the mouth the first time trying to use those, because they were breaking. Whereas now I have some of the blue spider bungees on mine. I don't remember what brand they are. Some with Lordco. And they're not much money, like they're not too bad, but my goodness, they make a difference. Like there, I didn't really need to follow the roof. Just kind of drove where I felt like. I feel so sorry for the next person that comes through here and is like, oh, this doesn't look so bad.
Someone else has been through here recently. Maybe I should go too.
Yeah, how bad could it be? It doesn't look like he has big tires. Like, but it's only a little Cherokee perched on top of those little tires. I think they're... I'm going to get towards a bit of a clearing spot here and then I'll check the chains again. You want to be really cognizant about any noise. Like if you hear a bang bang, it's a good thing to stop immediately, because a loose chain will wreck a lot of stuff. There's some people that refuse to use chains because a chain could come loose. And realistically, you're not meant to use them on aired down tires either. Whoops. The big thing is just trying to make sure they aren't chipping around and that you've got tension on them, and don't drive fast. Just use them for a slow speed traction aid and you will be fine. Don't give it too much skinny pedal and you will be fine. Fall into a giant tree well and you will be fine. I can't believe that clawed out of that easily. I was like, uh-oh, went in the tree well, we're screwed. Nope, just drove out of it. So there you go. As much as I'm reluctant to put chains on because it took me, what, probably almost half an hour?
At least 20 minutes.
And you're flopping around in the snow and straining away at pulling on things. Here's a good spot to check. My God, it's worth it for the traction. Look at how hot our intake temperature's getting. Cherokee life. 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah.
10 degrees.
Yeah. They're not exactly cold air intake. They're a hottest air off a radiator intake. I think that's still upright. Remember that time we got stuck by sliding gently into a ditch, and Andrew had his chains on like this on all four tires, and he was driving around the Land Cruiser plowing snow with his front bumper and like up onto his hood, driving circles around us while we tried to get out. Yeah, this is why. Chains are a huge difference even in snow. Just really are. Really, Finn? Is that what's going on? Oh, really? Oh my, Finn. The story is this kid is going to tell once he learns to say a few words. He sure understands them. Isn't that nice knowing that we won't be bobsledding down this hill?
We were commenting last time we were down here that it'd make a good sledding hill.
Oh yeah, there's some jumps and stuff. Don't quite need first gear there.
Remember, it's a bit of a bump here.
Oh yeah, the bump that I hammered when we were coming up.
Just rearranging the contents of the Jeep.
I think I'll probably chain off and let more of our parks for snowmobiling. So Christine, this is your first time in the Jeep with chains on.
get them and put them on.
True, even though you do know how.
No comment.
The reality is, all of these chains are different, especially when you get into the ones like these. They're quite a bit different than the V-bars you're used to putting on. They don't have that cam that you rotate the tension in. Probably be careful going over cattle herds. Just picturing what would happen if you caught a chain. It's also, most of the good kits seem to come with spare links. Should you, happen to break a chain. Andrew said he did one time going through a bunch of, having to cut through a clear cut with a bunch of blowdown and that. He finally popped the link and had to bend it back and clamp it back down. It's not that big a deal. Funny how it looks. Oh, he's chewing a dinosaur. That's the sound.
Oh, I totally know he's chewing a dinosaur.
Oh. Hey, Finn, how's dinosaur taste? Good, good. Oh. Occasionally I'm hearing a bit of noise almost from the right rear, but looking at the mirror it looks good. coyotes over there. Boy, that seems pretty scripted.
Hey, look at this thing!
Yeah, it's just like the second you start recording, oh, look at that thing that's over there. That's really neat. Yeah. Anyhow, so this is why we come this way into Campbell. It's because because you can drive on roads that are sanded and looked after, and lots of people drive on them. I'm going the right way, right?
We'll find out.
I'm gonna default back to the, things look different when there's a bunch of snow, or the snow has changed since the last time you were there. Like the banks are higher. You can see the snow kind of drifts through here because it's a lot more open. There's a lot of farms in here. It's pretty neat because unless you came up here, you just don't know that anyone lives up here. There are plenty of people, but it's just gorgeous today. The sun's trying to get out again. See a bit of the long grass just poking through the snow. Don't let that make you think the snow's only a couple inches deep. In some places, probably yes, because the wind's blowing it off. In other places, it could look flat and there's a big gully because the snow's all drifted.